My name is Liz Kazel. I'm a sophomore at Mississippi State University. I'm also one of the organizers for this year's Our Spring Break. Please hold any and all questions to the end of the conference. To talk more about Our Spring Break and our plans for March 19th is Paul Blasenheim from Wesleyan University.
Okay. Over a year ago, a small group of college students from all over the country were unified together with a single vision. That we, as the students and youth of this country, could truly become the force which ended the illegal, immoral, insane, wasteful, and altogether unjustified occupations of Iraq and Afghanistan. And out of the energy of this vision, Our Spring Break was formed. We are Our Spring Break. We are a group of students and youth who are committed to using our free time from our education to work to end these wars, to bring justice to all people across the globe, and especially those living in our own backyards. We believe that the direct links between foreign war and domestic social injustice cannot be ignored any longer. And if we are to truly create sustainable and permanent change in the way our country continues to operate, then such change must be instituted by the youth of this nation. Last year, in the waning months of the Bush administration, Our Spring Break galvanized over 150 students from all across the country to come to D.C. Not only did we provide immense strength, energy, and ideas to all the actions that were happening in response to the beginning of the 6th year of the war in Iraq, but we also executed a historical action known as Stop Loss Congress, where we successfully prevented members of Congress from leaving on their vacations for over 2 hours using direct civil disobedience to ensure that they stayed here on their vacations to bring all the troops home and end the occupations before they are allowed to go home. And this year, we stand before you again, still strong, and ready to continue this struggle in 2009. But we have a new administration this year. And so far, little good news has come from the Obama White House that would make us feel that true change, as it was really promised, is actually coming. And as our housing, healthcare, and education systems hover on the brink of collapse, our message of full and immediate withdrawal of all troops, bases, and contractors is now more important than ever. For we must now make the commitment to funding the social needs of our people first and foremost, instead of funding these senseless and costly occupations. Tomorrow is March 19th, 2009, which means that it is the beginning of the 7th year of the war in Iraq. 7 years of injustice, insanity, and senseless violence. And it is also the 1-month anniversary of the Afghanistan troop surge. Tomorrow we will directly confront these policies and use our voice and our youthful energy to ensure that these policies come to an end and true justice is brought. We will march upon the war profiteers and the complicit organizations of Washington, D.C., including defense contractors, media outlets, government buildings, and recruitment stations. We will be dressed as war profiteers, as the rich people who are making billions off of these unjust occupations, and the shabby, poor, distraught social programs that are underfunded and directly cut in order to front the bill for these wars. We will then reconvene as the March of the Dead, bearing the names of those who have died all throughout these occupations and wars, to remind people that the cost of war is not just in the debt and in the dollar, but also in the lives we have lost. We will bring this message directly to both the people and the legislators of this country, and we believe that our action will have great effect. And we hope that everyone can respect and see our position and start to make this true change that we all hope for and need. Thank you.
Yeah, good job. Woo.
Now we'll hear from Harry Waisbren, a senior at the University of Wisconsin, to talk about our inspiration for this year's Our Spring Break.
Thank you. On April 4th, 1967, a year to the day before his assassination, Martin Luther King delivered a speech entitled Beyond Vietnam, A Time to Break Silence, a speech whose words perhaps ring truer now than even in its own time. We here today see within King's far too seldomly referenced words a vision for our country, a diagnosis for the societal ills that continue to hold us back, a method to achieving his dream. Yet, King's prescribed way towards societal redemption remains so controversial that to this day we have still yet to reconcile the true meaning of his words, much less the fiery controversy that ensued upon his utterance of them. On the day marking the beginning of the last year of his life, King expressed, without equivocation, that a time comes when silence is betrayal. He called out that the time had come for us in relation to Vietnam. Today, we call out that time has come to us in relation to Iraq and Afghanistan. Just as he observed then, we must give voice to the voiceless. We must search to understand the arguments of those we call enemy, and we must not take the easy way out. We must not engage in non-resistance against active dehumanization. Yet like King, we are left as deeply concerned now about our own troops as anything else. Then and now we recognize that, quote, we are adding cynicism to the process of death. This is because our soldiers, as King professed, must know after a short period that none of the things we claim to be fighting for are really involved. And indeed our soldiers do know. Yet still they die knowing their country would have them give their life for a lie. That day, King declared that we must be prepared to match actions with words by seeking out every creative method of protest possible. Today, that prescription remains more true than ever, and I am proud to say that we are working in accord with his dictum. We strive to utilize to the fullest any and all of the new media technologies that we have at our disposal. Such innovative tools aid the match of our actions with words in an effort to amplify what we say, to fortify the actions that we take, and to make the ongoing amnesia regarding King's call to break silence more difficult to maintain. Yet why are we redoubling our efforts? Why do we push forward amidst the ongoing transitioning of the anti-war movement, amidst the period of change for the country and the world at large? The source of this inspiration also, quite naturally, links back to King. Like Vietnam in his time, Iraq has become, as he said, but a symptom of a far deeper malady within the American spirit. A malady of our country's spirit that allowed the rise of the horrors seen in Vietnam then, and Iraq now, and likewise, perhaps, if not now, soon in Afghanistan. In order to heal this malady, King charged that we as a nation must undergo a radical revolution of values. This revolution of values would be demarcated through our, quote, shift from a thing-oriented society to a person-oriented society. As King did, we recognize that, without a doubt, a person-oriented society would never let the most patriotic among us die, generation after generation, amid such cynicism. A person-oriented society would never let our veterans live and suffer alone as they struggle to make peace with what they were compelled by our government to do. Most of all, such a society would never condone the active betrayal of our country's troops. And make no mistake, there is an ongoing betrayal of our country's best and our brightest. A betrayal occurring despite their blatant exploitation by cynical politicians who personally profited off their suffering in order to continue an illegal and immoral war. Then, as now, we find ourselves, quote, confronted with the fierce urgency of now. As he said then, and as it remains true today, we must recapture the revolutionary spirit and go out into a sometimes hostile world, declaring eternal hostility to poverty, racism,